That's the have for Maths today. We're going to go through some mock papers, something for the 2024 exam that you might never have seen before, but teachers across Scotland have been creating. This one comes from Chris Smith, a fellow teacher who is excellent. Check his YouTube channel out if you want to see more great stuff from him. And I'm going to show you where you get this paper so you can actually follow along. So to get this paper, you actually just go to clellandmaths.com, link in the description. Clellandmaths.com is my website and it's got all the stuff you need for all your different things. But I've added a button onto the homepage, 2024 National 5 Maths Mock Papers. If you just click that button, it'll come up with the page, and the Chris Smith last minute non-calc is the one we're doing. You can just click that button. Underneath that, when I finish filming this video, will be the video solution to that as well. And I'm also, obviously you can see what else I'm going to do. I'm going to do the calculator version and then another couple of mock papers. So you click the button, and it takes you to the folder with the file that you can then just download if you want, just by whatever device you're on. You'll be able to download it just by pressing the little buttons. And there we are, let's get started. Question 1, 2 2/3 plus 4/5 divided by 1 1/2. So this is bid maths in fractions. So since it's fractions added and times in, or dividing, I will change these to full fractions rather than having to deal with mixed numbers. So first one, 2 3s is 6, 7 8, so that gives me 8/3. Plus 4/5 divided by 1 2s is 2 plus 1 is 3, 3/2. So then we can do 8/3 plus 4/5 and divide turns into times, and we times by the reciprocal. And I always flip it upside down, the second one. 8/3. Now plus or times, we'll do times first. So 4 2s is 8 and 5 3s is 15. And now I can add these, but you can't add until it's a common denominator. So I could times 3 and 15 together, and if you want to do that, do it, but 3 goes into 15 5 times. So I'm just going to times by 5 to get 5 8s is 40. 5 8s is 40 over 5 3s is 15. Plus 8 over 15, which is 48 over 15. And we can just check that simplified by seeing if there's anything goes into it. If you can't see it, change it to a mixed number first. 15, 30, 45, 46, 47, 48. That's 3 15ths. 3 goes into both of the numbers to make a fifth, because 3 goes into 3 1s and 3 5s is 15. So we get 3 and a fifth. Question 2 for National 5 Maths 2024 mock exam from Chris Smith. Expand and simplify this. So I always use a grid to expand and simplify brackets. 3x minus 2, 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. Now, if your teacher's taught you FOIL and you can't remember anything else, unfortunately FOIL will not work for this. FOIL only works for a bracket and a bracket when there's 2 things and 2 things. 2 3s is 6x cubed. 3 5s is 15, so plus 15x squared. And 3 3s is 9, so minus 9x. 2 2s is 4, so minus 4x squared. 2 5s is 10, so minus 10x. And minus 2 times minus 3 is plus 6. Taking it out of the box, you've got 6x cubed. Simplifying it, these go together and these go together. So 15x squared minus 4x squared is plus 11x squared. Minus 9 minus 10 is minus 19x. And then I've got plus 6 on the end. And I'm done there. Functions for 2024 mock paper. Functions. Question 3, given the function f of x is 2x squared plus 1, find f of minus 3. So I sub in if I'm asked for f of something. So it's 2 of minus 3 squared plus 1. That's 2 times minus 3 times minus 3 is 9. Plus 1. 2 9s is 18, plus 1 is 19. And we're done there. If f of t equals 51, find the value or values of t. So if it says, if it equals a number, I make the function 2x squared plus 1 equal a number, but this time it's t, so I just change it to t, no big deal. 2t squared plus 1 equals 51. So part B, 2t squared plus 1 equals 51. Now there's lots of ways to solve this, but most people are taught that when it's a squared, you need to make it equal to 0. So I'll just do it that way for everyone. So I'll take away 51 for both sides, and that gives me 2t squared minus 50 equals 0. And we need to solve that, so try and factorise it. Common factors 2, so we get t squared minus 25 equals 0. 2, that's double brackets, because it's a difference of 2 squares. So t and t, square root of 25 is 5, and plus and minus. So that equals 0, so that means that each bracket equals 0. And we just solve them separately. So we get two answers in this case, t equals minus 5 or t equals 5. And we're done there. Question 4 for the mock 2024 National 5 paper, find the value of x. Leave your answer as a simplified surd. So it's going to be a surd question with a minor amount of Pythagoras. Is Pythagoras got a right angle triangle? I've got two sides and I'm finding the third side. So Pythagoras, remember, is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But c is the longest side. Now, the longest side in this case is 8. So I'm actually finding one of the shorter sides. So if I wanted to find a or b, I would take away. So in this case, x would equal, I'll just write squared first, 8 squared minus 2 squared. So let's work that out. 8 times 8 is 64. 2 2s is 4. So that means that x squared equals 60. So x must be the square root of 60. Now this is a surd. So I want to find two numbers at times to make 60. One's a square number. And that's it. So this is a surd. So I want to find two numbers at times together to make 60 and just pick one up to be the biggest square number you can. So numbers that go into 60, well, I think 15 and 4 here. So I've got square root of 4, square root of 15, square root of 4 is 2, so that's 2 root 15. Just check there's no other square numbers that go into 15. So 4 doesn't go in, 9 doesn't go in, and then 16 is too big, so we're done there. Obviously the answer is units, but there's no units in this, so we just leave it at 2 root 15. Question 5, solve 3p minus 2 over 2 minus p over 3 is less than 6. So I want to get a common denominator. There's a couple of ways to do this. You can find what the common denominator is and then times by it, or just get a common denominator first. So I'm going to times by the common denominator like that. So 2 times 3 is 6. And just imagine there's brackets around here. So I'm going to do 3 times that bracket, 3 bracket 3p minus 2, take away 2 times that p. And that's less than 6. So now I can times both sides by 6. So multiplying through by 6 on both sides, I get 3 times 3p minus 2 minus 2p, because 6 divided by 6 is nothing, is less than 36. Expanding the bracket, 9p, 3 2s is 6, minus 2p is less than 36. 9 minus 2 is 7p, and 36. So 7p is less than 42. Divide by 7, you get 6. P is less than 6. Notice the sign stays the same all the way down. The only time that sign changes, actually, is if you have to divide by a negative. And that means you change the sign. But that doesn't happen in this question. Question 6. A equals 3o minus 2. B equals minus 5, 1, 2. Evaluate the size of the modulus of a to b. This is a vector question. So step 1. How do I do a to b? You do b minus a. The position vector of b and a, which is just the same as the coordinate, written as a vector. Minus 5, 1, 2. Take away 3, 0, minus 2. Minus 5 minus 3 is minus 8. 1 minus 0 is 1. 2 minus minus 2. Minus minus makes plus. So that's 4. So now I want the size of that. So remember, for the size of the modulus, it's just like Pythagoras. I want the length of the line. So it's just 3D Pythagoras, square root of each of the numbers squared and added together. So that's the square root of 8 eighths is 64, plus 1 plus 16. 64, 65, 75, 81. Square root of 81 is 9, and we're done there. Question 7, you've got a cone, you have to work at the volume, take pi is 3.14, so non-calculated volume. I'm going to draw that cone a little bit better because I'm not quite sure that it makes, if I draw it more like that, and they're saying that the distance across here is 20, and then the height of the cone is 6. And that seems to make more sense to me than that squished picture. So I know that my cone is not very good because it's not to scale, but because 6 is clearly bigger than 20, but it would help me to see this question. Start of the exam paper, V is 1/3 pi r squared h. So we're having to use 3.14, which is quite common to do. So that we'll just sub everything in. 1/3 times 3.14 times, well, what's the radius? Well, the radius is 10. 10 squared times 6. So with these types of questions, when you have to do pi as 3.14 with non-calculator, I usually leave the 3.14 to the end if I can. So I'm going to do everything else first. 10 squared is 6 1/3. So that equals 1/3 times 3.14 times 100 times 6. Now you can do 6 times 100 then divide by 3, but 6 divided by 3 is 2. So it's much easier to just think of that as 2 times 3.14 times 100. Now you can times 200 times 3.14. Well, I might as well just times by 100 now. So that's 2 times 314. 2 4s is 8, 2 1s is 2, 2 3s is 6. And the units are centimetres, so we've got centimetres squared, and we're done there. 24 National 5 mock paper, evaluate 125 to the power of 4/3. So it's an indices question. So just the laws of indices, you should know what that means, the same as a root. What type of root? Cube root, because the denominator's 3, and the 125 and the 4 go along for the ride. Now you can do the power first or the root first. Easy to do the root, of course. I want a cube root of 125. Now if you don't know it, I know it's 5. It's obvious because it ends in 5. But if you didn't know that, 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. Not that. 2 times 2 times 2, 8. Not that. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 is 27. Not that. 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 is 64. Not that. 5 times 5 is 25 times 5 is 125. So you'll get the answer pretty quickly just by trying cubes. Just start at the first number. So that is the 5 to the power of 4. Well, that's 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. 5 5s is 25. 25 times 5 is 125 times 5. 5 5s is 25. 5 2s is 10, 11, 12. 5 1s is 5 6. 6 2 5, and we're done there. Question 19. This triangle has an area of 24 square metres. Find the value of sine C. So area of a triangle, a half AB sine C. Start of the exam paper. And this is a working backwards one. So we're working backwards one, you sub in everything you've got and work backwards to find what you need. So I've got area. So let's start off with a half times. Just check, I want this angle, and it's the two sides either side. I've got them, so that's 5 and 30 times sine C, and that equals 24. Work out as much of your left-hand side as you can if you want. So a half of 30 is 15, so that's 5 times 15 sine C equals 24. 5 times 15 is 75. Times sine C equals 24. So that means that sine C must be 24 over 75. Is that simplified? Well, no. 3 goes into both of the numbers. So dividing by 3. 3 eighths is 24. 3 into 7 is twice. 3 fives is 15. That's 8 over 25. And we're done there. Question 10 for 2024 mock National 5 paper, paper 1. Find the equation of a straight line. Okay, find the equation of a straight line and the gradient and any point. So to get the gradient, let's note this point here is 2, 0. So you've got x1, y1 and x2, y2, or you can make a right angle triangle. But the gradient, for reminder's sake, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's 0 minus 12 over 2 minus 1. Watch for double minuses appearing. Minus 12 over 2 minus 1 is 3, minus 4. And now we've got the other equation that I always use, y minus b is mx minus a. So pick one of the points to be a and b. I'll just pick this one. So that's y minus 0 equals minus 4x minus 2. So y equals minus 4x. Minus 4 times minus 2 is plus 8. And we're done there. Question 11. Describe the nature of the roots of 5x squared minus 7x minus 2 equals 0. Nature of roots is the discriminant. What is the discriminant? It's b squared minus 4ac. Now, if you can't remember that, whenever you need to do nature of roots, check the quadratic formula to start the exam paper. It's the bit under the square root sign. So ABC, a is the number in front of x squared, b is the number in front of x, and c is the last number. So I've got minus 7 squared minus 4 times 5 times minus 2. That's 49, 7 sevens. 4 5s is 20, 22s is 40, but it's a minus times a minus, so it's a plus. 14 plus 49 is 89. And then you've got little statements. If b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, there are two real and distinct, or different if you prefer, roots. Now, I'll just go through the other ones briefly. If it's equal to 0, you've got two real and equal roots. Some people say 1, but it's actually 2. And then if it's negative, there's no real roots. And we're done. Break fraction, okay, start with the top and then do the bottom. 4 times 3 is 12. Q. Times in with powers means you add the powers if the base is the same. 7 plus 4 is 11. Over 2, Q, 6. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Q. Taken away when you're dividing, so 11 minus 6, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Nice and simple there, 6Q to the power of 5. Question 13. There's 60% off on a bike sale. How much was this top of the range bike before the sale? So it's now £20, 2024. Ha ha ha. Right, so 60% off on a bike sale. So for 60% off, if you imagine you're starting with 100% and I've took away 60%, that means that this bike is now worth 40%. So 40% equals 2024. And I want to get 100%, so it's a reverse percentage. Now, if it was a calculator paper, you could just divide by the decimal equivalent, which is 0.4, and that would get you back to the start. Since it's non-calculator, you have to do a bit of work. So the best thing to do usually is to go to 10%. So to go to 10%, I need to divide by 4. I'm going to divide this by 4. 4 5s is 20, doesn't go into 2. 4 5s are 24, 6 are 24. So I get 506. So that means that 100% times them by 10 is 5060. Oh my gosh, that was worth a lot. That makes sense, doesn't it? 60% off, so it's more than double. 14th of its mock 2024 National 5 paper. Y equals A sine x plus B. State the values of A and B. If in doubt, guess. A equals amplitude 7. It goes to 7 and minus 7. Check they're the same. They are. So it's 7. B equals. It's a shift to the left or the right when it's in brackets here. If it's plus, it's to the left. If it's minus, it's to the right. It's opposites, yeah? So let's have a look. Usually sine starts here and it's shifted to the right by 20. So it's a shift to the right by 20, which means it's negative. So B is minus 20 degrees. And we're done there. 2024 National 5 Maths Mock Paper 1. So we've got this diagram. It says using simultaneous equations, find the height of the final structure. So just a bit of a weirdly worded simultaneous equations question. But we just need to make two equations. So we'll see we've got circles and we've got rectangles. We're going to assume for this question, of course, that all the circles and all the rectangles are the same size. Otherwise it doesn't work. So for the first equation using this, we've got 1, 2, 3c plus 2r, say, equals 37. So 3c plus 2r equals 37. And then for the last one, second one, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5c and 1, 2, 3r. 5c plus 3r equals 57. Now, if we solve these simultaneously to know what the length of c is, or the diameter, and the length of r, we can just then work out the total length of the structure. So, I always eliminate the second letter. So I'm going to times the top one by 3 and the bottom one by 2. Because that'll give me 6 in both places. So that gives me 9c plus 6r equals 3 7s is 21, 3 3s is 9, 10, 11. And then 2 5s is 10c, 2 3s is 6r, and that equals 2 7s is 14, 2 5s is 10, plus 1 is 11. I'll call that equation 1 and 2. I want to keep things positive, so I'll do 2 take away 1. Just notice here the sign's the same. If the sign's the same here, you take away. If it's opposites, you add. So 10 minus 9 is 1c, and 114 minus 111 is 3. So I now know c, so I'll just substitute into something. Let's say this one here, the star. So that gives me 3 times 3 plus 2r equals 37. 3 3s is 9 plus 2r equals 37. So 2r equals 37 minus 9. Well, that's 28. So r must be 14. So now we can work out our length of the structure. We've got 2 lots of C and 3 lots of R. So our height is 2 times 3 plus 3 times 14. 2 3s is 6. 3 4s is 12. 3 1s is 3 plus 1 is 4. 42 plus 6 is 48. And the units were centimetres. And we're done there. This is Mr. Clelland for Clelland Maths, and today we've done a mock National 5 Maths paper, courtesy of Chris Smith. Thank you very much. We'll do another one another day. We'll do the calculator version, and then we'll do some more. And hopefully, as we get closer and closer to the exam, you feel more and more confident. Remember, you can always go on and check out my website or check out the playlists on the website, the National 5 Maths. It's nice and clearly labelled. You've got your full 2024 paper in under 4 hours. You've got some videos. Ultimate Prelim Revision 1 is a great one as well. Goes through the whole course. There's also the file there if you want to work through it. You've got some videos on specific topics. And then really, if you go to your past papers and solutions, you've got all the past papers. Every single button's a past paper. Click it, you get the button, get the past paper, no bother. And you've got the video solution underneath, nice and convenient for you. Or if you want to stay on YouTube, just use the playlist for it. Take care, stay safe. Goodbye.